Hello folks, Midwest F-150 here. A couple of weeks ago I cut open to this Carquest Extended Performance oil filter rated for 20,000 miles. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Purolator Boss. I got this at Menards, and so we're going to cut this open and then do a side-by-side comparison. Here we go. So this is PBL 22500. It's intended for my F-150 3.5 liter EcoBoost. Same goes with this Carquest P84502. All right, so with the Purolator Boss, it's smart fusion technology. It's rated for 20,000 miles, of course. It's intended for full synthetic oil types with 99% plus dirt removal power. All right, let's go ahead and open this guy. All right, so the casing, it's black, of course. There's a little sparkle in it. At the top of it, it reads Frank 11 Tom 03 Charlie 2. And then Purolator Boss, those are the visual diagrams of the oil changing process. And then looking at the base plate here, so interestingly enough, this is the same base plate that I've seen on the Motorcraft FL500S. So let's take a look at the gasket. Very thick gasket. Based on what the box indicates, it is a ethylene acrylic gasket. Very durable. On my right hand is the Carquest 20,000 miles, and then on my left hand is the Purolator Boss. Purolator Boss seems a little thicker. Seems like you get more material with the Purolator Boss. All right, and then taking a look at the threads. On the Purolator Boss, we have a maximum of 4 lines of thread. On the Carquest, it's actually 5 lines of thread at a maximum. You can see that the Carquest has circular holes, a total of 8 holes, and then on the Purolator Boss, it's more like oval shaped. And then you have 7 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's what it looks like. One of the other differences that I noticed is that on the inner crevice here, there are little ridges on the Carquest, and I think it's intended to hold the gasket in place as you're installing your filter. Whereas on the Purolator, not so much. I don't know if that matters or not, but just an observation. All right, let's cut this guy open. The casing seems easier to cut into versus the Carquest. I'd say like the Carquest has a more heavy duty material than this Purolator. One of the easier filters I've cut into. All right, inside of the base plate, that's what it looks like. There's a lot of like scratches on the inside facing side of the base plate in the Purolator. Same goes with the Carquest. All right, we'll set that aside. All right, anti-drain back valve. So this is a silicone-based gasket on the Purolator Boss here. And then on my right hand is the Carquest. Different in design, but I believe they're similar materials. This Carquest one has a little shine on it, whereas this is a little dull. I don't know, the Carquest one seems a little bit more rigid, whereas the Purolator Boss is a little bit more flexible. Let's see if I can show you guys a better illustration of that. All right, let's take a look inside the casing. So right away, instead of a coil spring like you get on a Carquest filter, this is a leaf spring. And this is what you get on the Carquest. There appears to be surface rust on the inside of the casing. Let's take a look at the Carquest. Carquest is on my right hand. Very clean on the inside. And then on the Purolator Boss, a little bit of residue in that rust spot. Take a look at the thickness of the casing. That seems consistent with how it cut open. It was really difficult to cut into this Carquest one. And the Purolator Boss, it was really easy. Let me tap this on the table so we can hear what it sounds like. So this is the Carquest. This is the Purolator Boss. All right, set those guys aside. All right, the filter element. So you have this style of a bypass, and then on the Carquest, it's this style. On the Carquest, it has like this brush metal, it's really clean, and then on the Purolator, this is what you get, and you can probably see there's some glue or something here. Top end cap is pretty clean. Right hand is the Carquest top end cap. One thing I noticed about this filter element is this side of the end cap seems a little bit off. It's a little lopsided. You see that? It seems like this wasn't applied evenly against the filter media and the rest of the filter. And then on the filter element, there seems to be some sort of marking. I don't know if it's debris or if it's, yeah, a little dirt right there on that. All right, let's count the number of pleats here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. 62 pleats on this filter, whereas on the Carquest you get 55 pleats. I think what will be interesting is the total length of the filter media itself when stretched flat on a surface. So I'll start cutting this and then we'll measure it out. See if I can separate the end caps. Okay, I don't think I can remove the end caps because that glue is really strong. So based on what I'm seeing here, the glue on the Purolator Boss is significantly stronger than the Carquest. It wasn't too bad to remove that. Okay. We'll take a look at the inner cylinder shortly. All right, you got that crimp, and then that just separates. All right, let's measure this guy out. So we're gonna measure it based on how it's sitting on this whiteboard here. I did, however, off camera, stretched it both sides and marked on the whiteboard here with the dry erase marker how far it stretches. Okay, 45 inches based on how it's sitting. Now I'm gonna measure between this point and the other point. That's about 48 inches. For comparison, the Carquest is 52 inches. So it seems like you get more media with the Carquest. All right, let's take a closer look at the filter media. It has a height of 2 3/4 of an inch. And then this is the Carquest. Let's go ahead and measure the height of it. 2 3/4 as well. So you definitely get more product with the Carquest. Let's take a close look at the mesh backing that both of these filters have. The lower one is the Carquest, and then the upper one is the Purolator Boss. So the way the mesh is set up on the Purolator Boss, it's in like a diamond shape, whereas the Carquest, it's in squares. At some point, I'd love to do a strength test on this, see how much force you can apply on this before it tears. But that's for another day. All right, let's take a look at the inner cylinder. We'll set these guys aside. On the Purolator Boss, they use these louvers. It looks like it's all opened up. And then on the Carquest, it's these large holes. All right, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Overall, I'm a little bit surprised by the Purolator because I've actually cut into this filter before, and when I did previously, there wasn't any of this debris or rust inside the casing, so I'm a little bit surprised by that. I don't know, if it were up to me and I'm running 20,000 mile oil change intervals, I'd probably go with the Carquest. You get more filter media. We've already measured the height and the length of the media. You get more with the Carquest. And then on the base plate, you get 5 lines of thread on the Carquest here on my right hand, and then 4 lines of thread on the Purolator Boss. And then the casing, you definitely get more material with the Carquest. It seems extremely rigid, whereas the Purolator is a little bit more flexible, and I think it's due to the fact that it's a thicker can. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. On this channel, I'm on a mission to reach 500,000 miles on my 2021 F-150. Along the way, you can expect regular updates, in-depth product reviews, live streams, and more. Subscribe now to stay up to date and be part of the journey.